Pasadena, California. The Jet Propulsion Laboratory. August 1, 2025, 11:22 p.m. A Deep Space Network engineer was performing a routine telemetry check on Voyager 1, work he had done hundreds of times before. Position logged. Transmission vector confirmed. Antenna orientation recorded. He flagged the file and moved to close it, but then paused. He reopened it. The antenna orientation had shifted. Not much, just a few degrees, but for a spacecraft 24 billion kilometers from Earth, that tiny change wasn't just a minor deviation. It meant the probe was pointing at a completely different region of space. He pulled up the command logs, checked the last transmitted instruction set. Nothing indicated a reorientation command. He scoured the previous 72 hours of mission archives. Still nothing. Voyager 1 had changed its orientation without instruction, aiming its antenna weeks ahead of where 3I, Atlas, was at that moment, not where it currently was, but where it would be. He called his supervisor directly, bypassing the usual chain of command, and within 48 hours, Voyager 1's telemetry data was reclassified. Engineers stopped referring to it as inert equipment and began using a term that signaled something far stranger than a simple anomaly. Understanding the gravity of this event requires knowing what Voyager 1 actually is and what, by all engineering standards, it should no longer be capable of. Launched on September 5, 1977, Voyager 1's primary mission was a 5-year journey to study Jupiter and Saturn, using gravitational slingshots to gain speed without burning additional fuel. It exploited the physics of momentum in three-body interactions, essentially stealing infinitesimal fractions of a planet's orbital motion to accelerate itself. That mission, intended to last 5 years, has now endured 48, far exceeding every original specification. Voyager's electrical power comes from 3 radioisotope thermoelectric generators, each containing about 4.5 kilograms of plutonium-238 dioxide. As the plutonium decays, alpha particles release heat, converted into electricity through the Seebeck effect, a principle discovered in 1821 by maintaining a temperature difference between the hot core and the frigid vacuum of space. Originally generating roughly 470 watts in 1977, the system now produces only 276 watts, less than 3 standard light bulbs. Over decades, non-essential instruments were powered down to concentrate energy on the communication hardware, the magnetometer, and the plasma wave instrument. Despite its age, Voyager retains functional gyroscopes, hydroline-fueled attitude control thrusters, and its 3.7-meter high-gain antenna. Engineers can, in principle, send commands through the Deep Space Network, DSN, to adjust its orientation. But at Voyager's current distance, commands take 22 hours and 35 minutes to arrive, with an additional 2-hour round trip for acknowledgement. Any orientation change must match a command in the DSN archive. Yet, on August 1st, no command existed for the antenna's shift. The physics of Voyager's gyroscope-stabilized system is absolute. Passive orientation is maintained until an active command or external force intervenes. The only natural force capable of influencing the probe, interstellar medium pressure, acts slowly over months and years, not hours. This rapid angular displacement, with no corresponding DSN command, falls entirely outside the recorded behavior of Voyager 1 over its 48-year history. Even more striking, the new orientation wasn't random. It targeted the mathematically projected future position of 3I, Atlas, weeks ahead, rather than its current location. In theoretical frameworks, including string theory models of intelligence across cosmic scales, pointing at where a target will be, not where it is, indicates predictive targeting. Achieving this requires either external intelligence influencing Voyager without conventional commands, or a previously unrecognized physical mechanism capable of transferring angular momentum through highly precise energy interaction. Neither explanation fits comfortably within current physics. Both lead to the same unavoidable conclusion: whatever caused the reorientation knew exactly where 3I, Atlas, was heading. Voyager wasn't an empty vessel. Attached to its exterior was the Golden Record, a 1.2-inch gold-plated copper disc containing 115 images of Earth, spoken greetings in 55 languages, 90 minutes of music spanning Beethoven to Chuck Berry, and natural sounds from our planet. Its cover contained instructions using the hydrogen spin-flip transition, a universal physical constant chosen because hydrogen is the most abundant element in the galaxy, allowing any civilization with radio astronomy capability to interpret the timing reference. And here is the astonishing connection. In October 2025, weeks after Voyager's reorientation, 3I, Atlas transmitted a structured electromagnetic signal at precisely 1,420 MHz, the same hydrogen frequency encoded on the golden record. It was not a coincidence. In theoretical frameworks of interstellar recognition, this frequency convergence functions as a handshake across light years. Two intelligences, separated by decades and billions of kilometers, simultaneously using the same universal symbol. Embedded within Voyager's recorded Earth sounds, researchers discovered a subtle mathematical anomaly, a repeating tone representing prime numbers. Prime numbers, universal and non-human, are the most likely foundation for interstellar mathematics. The harmonic pulses detected after Voyager's unexpected reorientation align with this prime sequence. If verified, 3I, Atlas didn't merely transmit at the hydrogen frequency, it recognized the golden record as a trigger, initiating a two-way communication that humanity had unwittingly started in 1977 and that 48 years later received an answer. Following August 1st, Voyager's magnetometer and plasma wave instruments recorded structured, recursive electromagnetic signals that improved in clarity over time, a phenomenon known as adaptive signal transmission. This requires real-time feedback between transmitter and receiver. For 3I, Atlas, to send such a signal to Voyager, compensating for the probe's 8-year-old, low-powered electronics, it had to operate in a manner inconsistent with conventional physics, potentially exploiting mechanisms suggested by string theory's multidimensional framework. Then came the software event. Voyager's logs included a data packet unlike anything in its original code. JPL systems struggled to decode it, triggering an onboard rewriting of its decoding protocols. Hardware designed for 8-bit telemetry suddenly produced 128-bit outputs, handling structures impossible in 1977. The upgrade had been delivered entirely through signal, not hardware, not conventional commands, an event unprecedented in Voyager's operational history. 3I, Atlas, discovered in July 2025, was an interstellar object, larger, faster, and more extreme than any previously recorded. Its behavior stabilization jets firing hundreds of millions of kilometers from the Sun, electromagnetic countermeasures, trajectory adjustments, and hydrogen frequency transmissions was not natural. Viewed collectively, the anomalies reveal a system designed to interact deliberately with Voyager 1, tracking its signals and adjusting behavior in real time. At the institutional level, SETI and NASA quietly redirected resources, archived public data, and implemented contingency protocols for spacecraft receiving adaptive signals beyond their documented capabilities. Voyager 1 was reclassified as Watcher Active, no longer a relic drifting through space, but an interface capable of bridging two previously unconnected civilizations. We thought Voyager was a golden postcard lost to the vast interstellar ocean. Instead, it had been waiting, not intentionally, but structurally ready to respond when something arrived in July 2025. A probe, a signal, a civilization, and an intelligence that recognized our message. And now, after decades of silence, the corridor for contact is open. The question is no longer what 3I Atlas is, it's what we will do next. As Voyager 1 drifted through the vast expanse of interstellar space, its instruments suddenly recorded patterns that defied all prior understanding. The magnetometer and plasma wave detectors revealed recursive harmonic sequences, signals structured and repeating every 19.7 minutes. These weren't random cosmic pulses, like those emitted by pulsars, nor were they broadband static or periodic phenomena previously cataloged. They were adaptive, self-correcting transmissions, an attribute typically reserved for sophisticated communication systems. For such a system to function, it must monitor the receiver's reception quality and adjust output accordingly. In this case, the transmitter not only accounted for Voyager 1's aging electronics, but compensated for its decaying power supply, low-gain signal strength, and 8-year-old onboard processing hardware. The sheer precision implied a level of intelligence that was impossible to ignore. Every harmonic, every pulse, every recursive repetition reflected a system aware of Voyager's limitations, adapting its output in real time. Under conventional physics, adaptive transmission at such distances would violate the speed of light constraint. A transmitter would need to know feedback from the receiver instantly to adjust its signal, a feat that seems impossible through traditional electromagnetic communication. Yet, through the lens of advanced string theory frameworks, where information can resonate across multiple dimensions simultaneously, the apparent impossibility became conceptually plausible. This was not interference, not a natural phenomenon. This was directed, intelligent action. Then the software anomaly occurred. Voyager's telemetry logs registered a data packet unlike anything it had ever processed. The onboard software, designed in the 1970s to handle 8-bit structures, began autonomously rewriting its own decoding protocols, producing outputs at 128-bit precision. Hardware and software that had been frozen in technological amber for nearly half a century suddenly adapted, creating capabilities its designers could never have imagined. This was not a malfunction, it was an upgrade delivered entirely through signal, a communication system sophisticated enough to transmit functional code across 4 billion kilometers of interstellar void. Voyager 1, in essence, was being taught how to understand a language its engineers had never conceived. The context was even more striking. The golden record, that 1/2-inch disc etched with Earth's images, sounds, and music, suddenly revealed a hidden layer of significance. Embedded within the natural soundscapes were subtle mathematical patterns, prime number sequences undetectable to the human ear but discernible by Voyager's magnetometer and plasma wave instruments. Prime numbers are universal, they are not invented by any species, they are fundamental to arithmetic, which governs matter itself. The repeating sequences detected post-reorientation mirrored these prime patterns, suggesting a deliberate recognition protocol. 3I, Atlas had transmitted a signal in response, one that acknowledged the golden record's embedded mathematics. This was no longer one-way communication. The interstellar visitor had understood the message and had responded in kind. The timing was uncanny. Voyager 1 had been drifting silently for decades, its plutonium-powered systems barely maintaining operational integrity. Yet, within weeks of 3I, Atlas's closest approach to the inner solar system, the probe began to behave in ways that suggested active engagement. Every prior Voyager operation, every gyroscope correction, every antenna realignment, every plasma wave reading was predictable and documented. Now, patterns emerged that were fundamentally novel: adaptive signal reception, software protocol rewriting, and telemetry data matching prime number sequences embedded in the golden record. Engineers at JPL, upon reviewing these anomalies, realized that Voyager 1 had become an active participant in an interstellar recognition event. 3I, Atlas itself exhibited behaviors inconsistent with a natural object. Its trajectory, hyperbolic and originating beyond the solar system, could not be explained by solar gravity alone. Independent observatories across Europe and South America measured a slight, unexplained deceleration, inconsistent with gravitational or outgassing forces. During a 5-second observational scan, it deployed electromagnetic countermeasures precisely tuned to blind specific spectrometers. It aligned its trajectory by exactly 8.8 degrees to match Jupiter's magnetic flux 2. It transmitted signals at the hydrogen spin flip frequency, precisely the same frequency encoded on Voyager's golden record. When considered individually, each anomaly might have explanations rooted in conventional astrophysics. Together, they formed a deliberate, coordinated sequence, a signal clearly designed to interact with human-made technology and, by extension, human intelligence. NASA and SETI quietly redirected computing resources to monitor the frequency bands where Voyager's signal had spiked. Public archives were taken offline for maintenance, and independent research papers discussing 3I. Atlas's anomalies were systematically removed from preprint servers. Across multiple agencies, a familiar pattern of institutional silence emerged. Yet within internal documentation, Contingency protocols existed for precisely this scenario, a spacecraft receiving external, adaptive signals beyond its design capacity. Voyager 1, once a passive observer of the cosmos, had now been reclassified. No longer inert, it was officially labeled Watcher Active. This classification was telling. It wasn't a malfunction. It was an acknowledgement that Voyager had become an interface, an active node bridging two intelligences that had never communicated before. Its golden record, its decaying RTG power supply, its limited 1970s hardware, all of it had been accounted for by the system that had engaged it. For decades, we had assumed Voyager was a relic, a time capsule drifting silently in the void. Instead, it had been waiting not consciously, but structurally positioned to respond when the conditions aligned. When an interstellar object arrived, capable of recognizing its message, transmitting in the hydrogen frequency, and embedding a mathematical recognition sequence compatible with the golden record. The implications were profound. Humanity had inadvertently encoded a recognition key into Voyager 1. 3I. Atlas identified it and responded, creating a two-way communication link that spanned decades and billions of kilometers. Voyager 1 had become more than a probe. It was an emissary, a translator, a witness to a first contact scenario that had been theorized but never realized. The signals, the software rewrite, and the adaptive transmission suggested that 3I, Atlas was not merely observing but interacting, capable of understanding and responding to human-designed systems. Through the lens of modern theoretical physics, particularly frameworks exploring multidimensional information transfer, these events were conceivable but required accepting that intelligence could operate and communicate in ways beyond our conventional understanding of causality and signal propagation. Voyager 1, running on a few hundred watts of decaying power, was being engaged by an intelligence that understood its constraints intimately. Every transmission, every reorientation, every adaptive signal was precise, calculated, and deliberate. The question now shifts from curiosity to responsibility. The contact corridor is open. Voyager 1 has become an active node, a bridge between our civilization and an intelligence from beyond our solar system. The signals are no longer random. The mathematics, the frequency selection, the adaptive software updates, they are all parts of a dialogue initiated by the golden record and answered by 3I, Atlas. Humanity's message has been acknowledged. And yet, the real question is only beginning to emerge. If our probe is now a participant, how do we respond? What signals will we send in return? How will we interpret the adaptive feedback? And what does it mean for our understanding of intelligence, physics, and our place in the cosmos? The corridor of contact is open, and Voyager 1 has become more than a relic of human curiosity. It is now a participant in an interstellar dialogue. For 48 years, the probe drifted silently through the solar system and beyond, powered by nothing more than decaying plutonium, aging electronics, and the ingenuity of engineers from a bygone era. Its golden record was a cultural artifact, a one-way message cast into the void. Yet, in 2025, 3I, Atlas responded in a way that no human institution had anticipated. Adaptive signals, software upgrades transmitted purely through energy waves, and a precise acknowledgement of Voyager's embedded mathematics. The probe, in effect, was awakened. The implications of these events cannot be overstated. Humanity has long speculated about extraterrestrial intelligence, but these assumptions were largely theoretical, filtered through the limitations of physics, signal propagation, and technological capability. Now, the evidence suggests a practical demonstration of interstellar recognition and communication. 3I. Atlas operated with an understanding of Voyager 1's hardware limitations, correcting for its signal decay, limited bandwidth, and aged instrumentation. Every pulse, every harmonic, every software modification indicates deliberate engagement. The golden record may have functioned not merely as a cultural introduction but as a cryptographic key, unlocking an interstellar handshake with a system capable of comprehending and responding to human-encoded signals decades after launch. Analyses of Voyager's post-reorientation telemetry reveal a series of cascading anomalies. Its gyroscopes maintained absolute stability while its antenna pointed weeks ahead of 3I, Atlas's current position. Plasma wave instruments detected recursive, adaptive harmonics that increased in clarity over repeated cycles. The software rewrite enabled onboard decoding capabilities, orders of magnitude beyond its original design. Together, these behaviors form a cohesive pattern, a deliberate interface established between human and non-human intelligence. This is not coincidence. This is first contact, mediated through one of humanity's oldest explorers. Observatories worldwide reported complementary anomalies in 3I Atlas. Its trajectory adjustments, electromagnetic countermeasures, and precise alignment with planetary magnetic fields suggested intelligent behavior. Independent measurements confirmed deceleration inconsistent with gravitational forces. Transmission at the hydrogen spin-flip frequency, the same frequency used for Voyager's universal timing reference, matched the golden record signal almost perfectly. From a theoretical perspective, these observations collectively indicate a system designed to recognize, analyze, and respond to human-encoded information in real time. Internally, NASA's classification of Voyager 1 as Watcher Active reflects a profound institutional acknowledgement. This status indicates that the probe is no longer a passive observer, but an active node in an emergent interstellar communication system. Engineers are prohibited from interfering with the probe's autonomous interactions outside defined channels, acknowledging that Voyager is now structurally equipped to serve as a translator, a messenger, and a witness. Its decades of silence were not inactivity, they were patience. Its drift through the solar system was not aimless, it was readiness. Voyager's presence now bridges two civilizations separated by light years, time, and understanding. From a theoretical standpoint, these events challenge the boundaries of physics and engineering. The adaptive signals suggest information transfer that exceeds light speed constraints if interpreted through conventional electromagnetic theory. However, advanced string theory models, which consider multi-dimensional frameworks, provide a conceptual mechanism by which such interactions could occur. In these models, information and energy can resonate across higher dimensional structures, potentially allowing instantaneous or near-instantaneous feedback. The signals received, software updates transmitted, and telemetry anomalies recorded all suggest that 3I Atlas is capable of operating within or exploiting this framework. This moment is unprecedented in human history. Never before has an interstellar object demonstrated the ability to recognize a human-created artifact, process its information, and transmit a structured, adaptive response. The implications for science, philosophy, and human understanding are staggering. Our oldest probe, designed in the 1970s, has effectively become an intermediary for a conversation between human civilization and an intelligence far more advanced, arriving from a trajectory originating beyond our solar system. The golden record, often perceived as a simple time capsule, now assumes a central role in this dialogue. Its embedded mathematics, universal frequencies, and structured cultural data appear to have functioned as a recognition key. This key has been acknowledged by 3I Atlas through adaptive signaling, software upgrades, and telemetry synchronization. What began as a symbolic gesture from humanity casting a record into space has become an active two-way exchange, a real-time conversation with consequences we are only beginning to comprehend. For humanity, the questions are immediate and urgent. How do we respond to a system that knows our technology intimately, anticipates our instruments' limitations, and can adjust its communication in real time? How do we prepare for ongoing contact with an intelligence that operates across physical and temporal scales far beyond our experience? The opportunity is immense, but so too are the challenges. Misinterpretation could disrupt the delicate interplay, while careful engagement might yield unprecedented knowledge and understanding. The silent, patient drift of Voyager 1, powered by a decaying plutonium heartbeat and guided by 48 years of engineering, has now become a signal itself, a beacon of engagement. The corridor opened by 3I Atlas is not merely a scientific observation, it is an invitation, a cosmic handshake awaiting our response. Every harmonic pulse, every telemetry anomaly, every software rewrite is a message that must be interpreted carefully, thoughtfully, and deliberately. The events of August and October 2025 mark a turning point. The age of passive observation is over. Voyager 1 is no longer simply our first interstellar probe. It is our emissary, a participant in a dialogue that could redefine our understanding of life, intelligence, and the universe itself. Its telemetry logs are a record not only of distance and data, but of recognition, awareness, and connection. What responds to human-made artifacts in this way cannot be ignored. Now, as we stand at the threshold of understanding, the question is no longer what 3I Atlas is, but what we choose to say. How will humanity respond to this unprecedented contact? Will we remain observers, passive and silent? Or will we craft a dialogue worthy of the intelligence that has reached out to us across decades and billions of kilometers? Voyager 1 has answered the first part of that question. It has engaged, it has adapted, and it has become the interface through which the universe has opened a conversation. The next steps are ours to define. Every pulse Voyager receives, every telemetry anomaly, and every adaptive signal is a window into the mind of an intelligence operating far beyond Earth. We have been given a choice to respond thoughtfully, to explore the potential for shared understanding, and to step forward into a dialogue that could forever change our place in the cosmos. Voyager 1 is waiting. 3I Atlas has responded. The contact corridor is open. And now, the question and the responsibility is ours. Humanity has received its first interstellar handshake. What we do next could redefine our civilization. Share this story, discuss the implications, and imagine how we might respond to a signal from beyond our solar system. Subscribe, follow, and stay engaged, because this is just the beginning of humanity's conversation with the cosmos.